This meeting is being recorded.
All right. Dr. Jeremy Weisz here, founder of InspiredInsider.com, where I talk with inspirational entrepreneurs and leaders. Today is no different. I have Mario Schwarts of Sphere. You can check him out at sphereinc.com. Before I formally introduce you, Mario, I always like to point out other episodes of the podcast people should check out. Here's some of the fan favorites, actually. Since we're talking about process and efficiency and a lot of things, I had a D. Clevitt on. D. Clevitt, basically, we geeked out on our favorite productivity tools, software. She helps companies with SOPs. It's an interesting niche. Also, another fan favorite was Jason Swank. Jason Swank actually built up his agency, digital agency, to 8 figures and sold it. And then he started an agency group, which he would have had when he started his company. He talks about they've been buying up companies as well, talking about the valuation space, the agency space, M&A, and everything like that. And we'll talk about some books. Mario is going to share some of his favorite books actually with us. And some of the interesting ones we've had on. I had Michael Gerber of the E-Myth. That was a favorite. Chris Voss of Never Split the Difference is one of my favorites. That episode is great. And David Allen of Getting Things Done. Gino Wickman of Traction. So those are some good ones to check out. This episode is brought to you by Rise 25. At Rise 25, we help businesses give to and connect their dream relationships and partnerships. We do that in 2 ways. One, we help companies launch and run a podcast. So we're an easy button for a company to do that. So we do the strategy, accountability, and the full execution and production. And number 2, we're an easy button for a company's corporate gifting. So we make gifting and staying top of mind to your clients, partners, prospects easy. And I like is affordable. So some of the companies even send to their staff as well. And all they have to do is give us a list of the addresses, and we do everything else from the gift selection, creating the copy on the card, and branding. So we kind of call ourselves the magic elves that run in the background and make it look easy for the company so they can build great relationships. For me, Mario, there's 2 things, that I love doing to give to my best relationships, which is have them on my podcast and share with the world what they're working on, and 2, send them delicious treats in the mail. So you can go to rise25.com or email support@rise25.com. I am excited to introduce today's guest. It's really interesting. We have Mario Schwarts and Sphere Inc. He's been I don't want to age you too much, Mario, but data and analytics evangelist for more than 30 years, and enabling companies to build their vision of tomorrow with technologies. Worked with some of the biggest companies that we were talking about before we hit record. But Mario, thanks for joining me.
No, thanks for having me, Jeremy. I'm very happy to be here with you.
Just start off with Sphere Inc. and what you do, and I'm going to pull up the website as you're explaining it.
Sure. Sphere Inc. It's a company that's been helping our clients, basically use technology efficiency for the last 20 years. It has about 400 people across the world. I have a team in South America, in Europe, and India, in the Middle East. So we have, of course, the U.S. So we're all over, and the reality is we try to empower our clients, and we deliver excellence. That's the main piece. Is we have about 90% retention on our clients. We still have clients that have been with us, over 15 years, and some that got dormant or got sold, then they call us back again, even with a new name. So that's the fun part about it. So
let's dig in the weeds a little bit. Obviously, we're looking here. There's a lot of industries you serve, from healthcare to banking to manufacturing to construction to private equity. Maybe let's take a manufacturing example. I know there was one out of Texas. What were some of the things you did with them?
Well, we have manufacturing. The one, and you can find some of the case studies on the website here to look at it. So if you would choose manufacturing, you can see a lot of our use cases in there. I would say I had a glass fiber, company. So they created basically glass fiber. It's a very complex process, as you can imagine. It goes through, melting the sand and going through that heat and then be able to put in specific uh, machinery that pulls those glass strands to the thickness that you need. And it has to be very precise with the environment. What we did for them was with the AI, we helped the engineers cut their time of analysis when something was going wrong from 6 weeks that it would take them to fix and put corrections in place to basically identify it in one day and be able to correct it within 48 hours. So that saves them, as you can imagine, millions of dollars on wasted and continue to have the quality that they needed to. So I think that that's the premise on that. That was it's a very successful project that didn't take a long time. We basically were able to do it in about 6 months or so. And you can imagine that when they have you know 300 lines across the world, and you're able to save $1 million on each line because of what we did for them, that was a very nice ROI.
Totally. So do you have engineers? Maybe talk a little bit about the logistics of that. Do they have like a platform that's like basically doing creating some of the stuff, and you have to custom code things on the back end to
Yeah,
help
we're
them?
yeah, we're partners of I would say the big companies, right? So we're partners with AWS, we're partners with Microsoft, we're partners with Google. I like to say that we're agnostic because we can work with all the different tools in the market. We just adjust to what the client wants. In this case, manufacturer, it was a Microsoft stack where we were able to do things. So it was Azure. It was able to we were running on an Azure data lake. We had Databricks in place, and we had analytics with that. We were presenting with Power BI, and we created machine learning on with Azure. So that was a full Azure stack because that was what the client has. But I have similar solutions in AWS and in Google also for some clients.
I'm curious, Mario, when you deploy a team, I'm sure the projects are all shapes and sizes. Maybe
Yes.
just talk about the makeup of the team, like the different departments. Like, okay, we're going to assign a project manager to this. We have a team of developer. Talk about the team structure. I
Yeah.
know probably the number of each of those members depends on the project, but what does the team structure look like when you
Yeah.
deploy a project?
The typical, first of all, you need an architect and you need a PM. Then the rest is depending on what type of project you have, because we have data engineers that, will do, pipelines and will create databases and will create, design data stores and data lakes. But I also have data engineers that focus on, AI and running LLM models. I have data scientists that help with advanced analytics and BI. I have BI developers also. So I have Python developers just to work on the Python piece. So it all depends on what we're putting together, and then I put the team together. I try to also balance the team across the world, so I have a coverage of sometimes even all 24 hours. So somebody's really working on the project all the time. So it allows us to do things in a shorter timeline than some of my competitors.
No, that makes sense. That's smart. So it's like we could be working around the clock. If someone has a question, it could be always be handled there.
Yeah, and I work with multinationals, so I have companies that have offices in the US, have offices in different countries in Europe. So, that allows me to have that flexibility also. So I got coverage with them. So
So the issues people are coming to you with at least in the manufacturing, it's like efficiency or issues that they may arise. What about what are private equity companies coming to you with? What are they looking for?
well, it all depends. I have a private equity company here in Chicago that it works with, um, I would say, healthcare, a lot of in healthcare related in food and beverage. So a lot of things that have regulation in it within their business. So what they're looking for us to bring is to, try to unify a criteria that they can understand and report in a similar manner on all their companies, and be able to also help them validate that compliance is being in place. So it's not just data security, but it's really compliance. A lot of challenges that you find across, when we have so many equity partners that have so many different companies that they own, is trying to help them look at the portfolio in a easier manner. So we usually start with one of the companies, and then they, basically tell us, okay, now help me with this other company, and then help me with this other company. So that's really the first step. Many of them call me what modernization challenges, because having multiple companies means that you very much have multiple environments and that you're working it. You have one that is working with some ERP, the other one's working with a different ERP. How do they, able to unify the data and
They're
report to
trying
us?
to connect everything so they don't have to go into all these different places. They can maybe have a unified dashboard with everything feeding in. And
Well, yeah, it's given corporate insights. Once again, I told you at the beginning, my practice is called data and insights. And if I don't bring the insights, I don't think I'm bringing the value that the client needs. So that's the goal. It's be able to give you actionable insights. Actually, when people are talking about AI, I always make fun of them. I tell them, don't call it artificial intelligence, call it actionable insights, and you'll have a better, answer to your problems if you really are looking for actionable insights. Forget about the tools you're using.
what are some of your favorite tools that you like in AI space? I feel like there's new ones coming up every week.
There is. It's amazing. People focus on two or three because they're the popular ones. But there's a lot of different ones that are out there that have very specific functions that we create. I mean, last count I did, I was tracking about 168 LLMs that are really, good functionality that are tested. And I would say 70% of them are open source, open real, all free. It's because the challenge you have with something like ChatGPT is that people forget that the information you're sharing with them, you're making it public. So that's a big risk that the people are not paying attention to. So that's one of the main things that I pay attention to when I'm trying to create an environment for my clients. Is I make, first of all, make a secure environment and make sure that the LLM model and the agents are not going outside for information, but are keeping it secured inside.
Are there certain ones you recommend that are more private
I
specifically?
think all of them are private. I think right now it's more about which functionality each of them provides. So it's more about the functionality that they provide. Um, what what functionalities they have is really the key of what you choose. I mean, because you have, ChatGPT is really good for bringing things together, and like I said, I call it a good librarian. Goes what to go with what book and bringing information in. I love, Llama. It's really, I like Llama a lot. I think it's very much comparable depending on what you're looking.
Yeah,
Gemini,
I'm just pulling this up as you're talking. This is one thing I was looking at just to see what's out there. There's like this artificial analysis.ai leaderboard thing. And
mhm.
again, I don't, you're one to sift through this more accurately than me, but it's just interesting to see what they have as
Well,
highlights as far as output speed or latency or price or whatever.
yes, and that's the thing. Price is it's key that people forget about it. I mean, everybody's playing with GPT, and the other thing is if you don't ask the right question,
Here's the
you
llama
don't
one you
you
were
don't
referring
get
to,
you
I
don't
think.
get in there. So it's, but yeah, see, Llama, it's beautiful.
Does
It
anything else stick out to you on this list here?
Well, I mean, let's talk about the elephant in the room, right? So DeepSeek, right? It came out what, less than a month ago, and everybody went cuckoo with it. And then guess what? Everybody was talking about TikTok and putting their data on China. Guess what? That's what you're doing with DeepSeek. You're giving all your data to China. Right? Nothing against it if you're okay with what the data that you're giving out, right? It's more about what is the tokens that you're going to be using, right? And how you on and what functionality you're looking for each of them, right? Because some of them are good analyzing a document, some of them are good interpreting, some of them are better if you're looking at graphics, some of them are so you have to understand, what is the difference between the models and the capabilities, and I think that's probably the key word and research that I would recommend is look at the capabilities of what you're trying to do and what is good for. All of them are good. It all depends on what you're using it for. But as you can see on your list, there's a lot of them that are priced. It's cheap, but
Yeah, no, it's always good to hear an expert's thought on the matter, of course. I love to hear some of your favorite resources, books, mentors, or just resources that you look at. Who are some of those ones that you look at online that you respect and follow?
I would say I look at three different publications with, some of them with a grain of salt that I would take what they say, right? But I like Forbes, especially Forbes, the Technology Council. If you want to follow them on LinkedIn, they have a lot of good insights that they provide. Um, Forbes is very good about even providing you with with a subscription that is really cheap. I mean, $1.50. That's less than a coffee, right? And it gives you a lot of information about what's happening. I get information weekly from them, and you can pick and choose what they telling you depending on who's telling you. But they really give you they're really tackling what's going on, not just what's going to be here in 5 years, but they have some good insights about why things are failing, why things are doing good. So I like that publication. Gardner, I like, and that one, like I said, I take it as a grain of salt because I don't know if people know, but really, in Gardner, you're paying really to be appearing in there. It's not an independent. Let me evaluate and get you in there you know you pay, and yes, you're part of the game. And I'm not saying that they fudge the results, but I'm just saying it is suspicious when you try to get yourself into the mix if you have an advantage, right? um, and I also like the CIO magazine. CIO magazine also is good for some if you're looking for information through the data side and looking at what you want to be doing, because it tackles a lot of the challenges that the CIOs are facing.
Mm.
Uh, you know,
Is this
uh,
the one right here?
yes, yep,
Okay,
exactly.
love
So,
it.
so, so those are, I think, go to on the web that I do all the time. Of course, also keep up with publications from, and that's the good thing about going from here, because you can see here what was the latest on the big vendors, what's the latest on AWS, what's the latest on Oracle, what's the latest on Microsoft, what's the latest. So you can pick what you want to go see on their site instead of being bombarded from their sales side, right? It's more about understanding what the technology really can give you. Okay, so
Love it.
that's I would say in there. Then I would say books that I like and recommend. I think this is key. Crucial Conversations. This is Patterson Grammy. This book, I would say it's worth take a look at it. Uh,
That is a
People,
really good one. I did have actually Joseph Grenny is one of the co-authors of that on the podcast, and it was yeah. I mean, it was more one of the reasons I had him on. Obviously, I love the book, but it was an excuse for me to reread the book because it was
yeah,
like motivation, like studying the night before a test. I'm like, I'm not going to reread it, but
Yeah,
if I have them on, it will force me to reread it. So
exactly.
yeah.
Well, you can also cheat and tell the AI to give you a summary, right?
That's true.
That's a nowadays that you have in there. If you have the PDF
The modern
version,
day Cliff Notes. Yeah,
exactly,
exactly.
more than Cliff Note that you have. The other book that I really like, if you're in a leadership position, is this one, The Academy of Leadership, from Jocko Wilkins. And it's really, uh, interesting to understand what leadership really is. People think that leadership is just, hey, you do what I say because I say it, and it's a challenge to be a leader and to be a good leader. So I recommend that book a lot.
You've worked with large organizations over the years. What's something, I don't know, it could have been some feedback you got as a leader that helped you improve?
Well, I can tell you a war story on one of my big companies that I work with, and being a program manager for very specialized projects. It was funny because, as a project manager, your responsibility really is, first of all, get that project done, right? But people don't understand that if you're doing things right, you're managing by risk. So you want to manage the risk because you want to avoid issues. If you don't manage the risk becomes issues, right? The other thing that you want to do is you want to manage the team and the stakeholders, which means goes back to communication. That's why I like the other book that I told you about. So the art of communication, understanding how each different person communicates and make sure that your message is across. So uh, I would you counter it like you do in big organizations. You have people that, because you're in a high profile project, want to be a part of the project. But at the end, those people don't want to get the job done because they have tried before. They don't feel it is. They just want to say that they participated in the project. So to me, that's an overhead because I'm trying to put, those people to produce something that I need. And it wouldn't hesitate for me to go over to their boss and say, hey, take this person out. So I would have executive VP that was the sponsor of the project come in the hall and ask me, "Hey Mario, any casualties this week?" so so that taught me that I needed to be sometimes a little bit more gentle and political approaching the ones that were not doing the job and try to find out if I could get them to do the job before I would tell them get them out of here. So that's a good mentor, from that. And this was an executive that had 20 years in the company. So he took me under his wing to say, okay, come here, talk to me, I'll help you. So it's a good thing. So
Mario, first of all, I just want to be the first one to thank you. Thanks for sharing your journey, your lessons, your stories. And I want to encourage people to check out sphereinc.com to learn more. And we'll see everyone next time. Mario, thanks so much.
Jeremy, thank you very much.